Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the podcast and welcome, Dawn Jarvis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I know we were just talking about it before we hit record and hit play, but I'm like, for those listening, I haven't seen you. I can't even remember the year. Like, I'm like,
I
was it
think it was like
2017?
2017, 2018, somewhere in that. It was pre-COVID years, which is
It
so wild.
was so long ago. Like,
Yeah.
in my head, it was only a couple years ago. And then I sit down and I'm like, 2017 was 7 years ago.
So much has changed.
So much
Like
has changed.
so much has changed for you and me. And it's like I'm actually like thinking about all the things that I've been able to like keep up with in your life in the last seven something years. I'm like, whoa. And then I think about mine, I'm like, whoa, like it's crazy.
No, we are two different people than we
Oh,
were
100%.
shooting in Utah 7 years ago. So I'm so
Yeah.
excited to catch up on all of the things. For those that don't know you yet, though, could you give us a little intro on yourself?
Yes, of course. So like she said, my name is Dawn. I'm a photographer based out of Oregon. I photograph mainly elopements, micro weddings, couples, every so often now in like the senior family world, but mostly couples and the mini wedding kind of vibe. And then I also do a lot of education for photographers, helping them with their businesses, all that kind of stuff. It's so fun. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so can we let's start at the beginning. And I know that that was pre 2017, but like, how
Yeah.
did you get started? What did things look like when you first got started?
When I first got started, I actually like started my business 2012. That was like when I like had my LLC, like I signed papers. It was pretty cool. So that's like when I really got started. I kind of just like made it happen from college, like having so many friends in college who wanted photos and like all that. And it just spiraled from me taking photos of friends at like hangouts and sleepovers and senior photos of friends who didn't want to pay for them. And then it became like, oh, I need to have a website because people keep asking. And then my Instagram started when I was in college. So, like Instagram started to become a thing and like Pinterest was just becoming a thing. So it was really fun to kind of be a part of like the beginning of where we could meet more people versus just like Facebook and word of mouth, I guess. And so it just kind of developed from there. And after I graduated college, I was supposed to pursue my degree, which I was supposed to be working with people with special needs using horses and like doing
Oh my gosh,
therapy.
so different.
So different. And I was like interning at a barn, and then I just kept getting like inquiries for like elopement or for like couple sessions and wedding, like big, big, big weddings and like seniors. And I was like, okay, I'm either full time at the barn or I'm full time doing photography. Like I can't do both. So I told the barn I'd come back if photography didn't work out. And I got a job at a bar, got a job at a camera shop, and then like kind of part time both, and then just dove into photography. And it was so fun. I've been full time for 8 years now, which is
Oh
crazy.
my gosh. I'm like, I always love hearing what people got their degrees in if they did get their
Right.
degree, because it's always like completely out of left field. It's always
It's
something
so,
so random.
I don't think anyone expects to hear that I have a degree in working with people with special needs and horses.
I love that though. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And that's amazing that that's what you would have been doing had this not worked out. But it did work out,
It did.
obviously, which
Yeah, I never
leads
went
us
back. I'm
to
like
the
kind of
next
sad
thing.
about it too sometimes. I'm like, God, gosh, I kind of like miss being in the horse world and like working with people with special needs and like helping with that. And I'm like, but also like that job is like full time at the barn, like all day long, whether it's taking care of people or horses. So I'm like, this is so much more like flexible and fun. And I mean, my husband's a stay-at-home dad because of my job. Like he gets to spend all every day like playing with our kids and coaching high school football and track. So I
Oh,
feel like
cute.
I worked really hard and I feel really good about where we're at now.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's like the dream. I'm like, I always say, like, I would love a stay-at-home spouse. I'm like, I would love to be a stay-at-home spouse for a second, but I'm like, stay-at-home spouse would be the dream to
I
have.
tried for 7 weeks when Revan was born, and it was the worst thing ever. Like right when he was born, I was like, okay, everyone's like, what? How long are you gonna be off? I'm like, I want to get back to shooting now. Like I don't want to be with my newborn. Like I love him, but like I don't want to do this.
Perfect situation then. We love that. Okay, so like you got started, you've been full-time for 8 years. Did you always want to go into like micro weddings and elopements, or how did that transition kind of happen?
That wasn't really a thing when I got started. That was like the Vegas thing. Like you like eloped in secret, you did a courthouse or a Vegas thing. Like eloping in nature or having a small wedding in nature was not really getting there yet. And I feel like it started happening more like 2015, 2016. And when I started seeing that was a possibility at all, I was like, oh, wow, like that would be so cool to do. Like, how can I do that? And so once I started like creating more like content, creative shoots for myself. And that was why I went to Utah to do
Mhm.
travel mini weddings like that. And that's where I got to meet you, which is so fun. But so like stuff like that is kind of what I started focusing my like free time on. And then I just noticed I also am a super introvert, which I might not come off like that on like social, but I am super introverted and I love my like small spaces, my community. And so going to a big wedding where there's like 400 guests and you're expected to like perform photography in front of all these people was like the worst, most terrifying thing ever. And I would always leave feeling like I didn't do enough. I wasn't extroverted enough. The clients didn't get the best photos. Like I always felt so self-conscious after about like the client's end result and like how I worked that day. And I noticed as I shot smaller and smaller weddings that I didn't have that feeling anymore. And I was like, okay, I got to make a shift because like I'm doing a disservice to myself and my clients by like doing these bigger weddings when I am not made for them, you know?
How did that like step in your business work? Like, let's say, for example, someone's finding that they don't love larger weddings, or maybe they're finding they don't love smaller weddings. They're just wanting to make like a big shift in their business and their portfolio. What advice do you have for someone wanting to do that? Slash, like, what did you do in order to make that transition?
I went very slow about it. So what I did was I basically just changed where my pricing page was and I like said on my pricing page like I'm not taking weddings over this many guests. And at the time like I was shooting big cultural weddings at like 400 guests. So I was like, okay, I'm not shooting anything over 200 guests. I'm not shooting anything over 150 guests. Like every couple months I would just bring that down. I also had a paragraph above my contact form that said the same thing. So I just kind of like copied and pasted them to both pages so that no one missed it. And then if people emailed me, I would literally just say it again, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't photograph your wedding. You have too many guests. And I would tell them it was because of me, not them. Like, I never disagreed with their decision to have a large wedding. It was like, I'm not the right photographer for you because I'm way too introverted for that big of a wedding. And so I just kind of kept bringing that number down. And now I don't shoot anything over 40 guests. Like, that's my max. And
I
I don't
love
even
that.
think I have any 40-person weddings this year. Like, that's just kind of, I feel like a reasonable number to work within a micro wedding world.
I love that. I think that's such a like great example too of remembering that being in tune with yourself and your preferences is going to serve your couples just as
Yeah.
much as it's going to serve you.
Yeah. It's the same though. I also won't shoot like indoor weddings. Like if it's all indoor, like if they book a cool venue in Portland and they're like, "Oh, we want you to shoot." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not the person for you." Like I'm totally down to shoot like in a cabin like this for getting ready photos and then maybe the dinner, but like the whole day in there, no. Like no. Even if it's pouring rain, I'd rather be outside still. Like I can't I need that like element of being out in nature. Like I just don't work the same.
Did you already have like the portfolio for that, or did you go through and kind of build that portfolio?
I kept building it and I'm still building it. Like I'm constantly working on creative sessions and I did that every year of like I probably do between like 6 to 15 creative shoots a year.
Oh my gosh, that's a ton.
Yeah. I
I
love
love
it.
that.
Well, it's fun because like I think so many of our couples is like don't, especially with like the elopement micro wedding world, like a lot of couples don't know what's possible to them. And so like for you to like have a dream in mind of like what you could photograph or what would be fun to photograph, then if you could just like put that on or create it yourself, you're gonna inspire somebody. Like I hung out with my friend at a lake last year up in Olympic National Park and we hung out really late. We were like drinking in their little sunroom at the lodge. And the dock was so pretty at night. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually back next week. Can we just plan a fun shoot with you, one of your friends to model at night with a bunch of like battery powered like lights and lanterns and things? And they did. I came back the next week. Her friends modeled for us for half an hour at like 9 p.m. at this lake. And we just had battery powered like little candles all around them. It was so fun. It was so hard to shoot, but it was a blast. And then I shot an elopement like 2, 3 months later. We hiked up to this like mountaintop and they wanted like a blue hour ceremony. I didn't know that they had planned on bringing candles or like battery powered lanterns or any of that. And as we're hiking up, the sister was like with us with a big bag of stuff. And I was like, what do you have in that bag? Like we're hiking like 2 miles straight up. Like, what are you carrying? She's like, oh, it's all the lights. And I was like, wait, what lights? Like you guys never told me about lights. And they're like, yeah, remember that post you did a couple months ago of like the couple with the dock and the lights? We want to do that here. And I was like, are you kidding me? I like started crying and we're like hiking up this hill. I can barely breathe. I'm like getting dizzy. I'm so tired. I'm like not made to hike like that. And I was like, wait, you guys took inspo from this like little wedding I did? Like that's so cool. And then I shot one of my most epic elopements I've ever shot at the top of this mountain. And it was so cool. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm really glad I got to be a part of like your planning process without even knowing it.
Oh my gosh, what a testament to that, like, following our own artistic voice and, like, feelings can be so
Yeah,
inspiring to our couples, and also, like, so amazing that they wanted to draw inspiration from you
I
rather than,
know.
like, sending you a Pinterest board of a bunch of other people's work.
Totally, and I would have been fine with that, but, like,
Mhm.
I kept asking my couples, like I always ask them, like, "Are there any details that I need to know about for your day that would help me photograph it better?" Like, and I prompt them, I'm like, jewelry details, sentimental details, like, all that kinda stuff, and they, like, were like, "No, no, no," and then they didn't I was like, "You guys didn't tell me you wanted to bring," like, I thought I was gonna be shooting, like, a blue hour ceremony where it's, like, dark. I was like, "I'm not shooting flash, like, are you guys okay with it being, like, dark and grainy?" That would have been such a hard ceremony without those lights, like, I'll have to send you the photos, like, it was wild, like,
Yes,
how much I
please.
needed those lanterns and those, like, candles everywhere, and it was so fun, and, like, it was just a cool thing to, like, I don't know, see, like, a creative inspiration turn into, like, actual inspiration for a client, like, I don't know, it was just a really good moment, and I was like, "Now I wanna do more creative shoots."
I love that. So, like, speaking of I have so many questions, so we're just gonna, like,
I love
tangent.
it.
I wanna kinda hear about how being a primarily outdoor micro elopement photographer has challenged your photography because like you said, like, had that have just been, like, a blue hour photo shoot, like, it would've been so hard to shoot.
Yeah.
How have you found, like, you best prepare for, like, these types of elopements and micro weddings? Like, how has your photography been challenged or changed? Just because, like, I can only imagine the settings are a little bit less preparable,
Uh-huh.
like, it's a little bit I'm like, "Preparable" isn't a word, but you hopefully get what I mean.
In my world, that is. I
Yeah,
love
I'm
when
like,
they
hopefully
were
you get what I mean, like, you can't prepare as well for stuff that's, like, ever changing in the outdoors, so, like, how do you prepare? How have you evolved as an artist in
I
order to,
think
like, shoot these things?
the biggest thing for me has just been, 1, communication with the client and, like, over communicating before the wedding and during, and then after, obviously, too, a little bit. But, like, if it's gonna be pouring down rain, you need to have a conversation with the client, like, "This is a like, there's a chance that I might lose focus on some of your shots. It could be your first kiss, it could be these things. It's like, the rain and my camera might just catch, and I might miss it, I might not be perfect, you guys might be freezing, you might not wanna shoot as long." Like, there's all these factors that could happen when especially when it's, like, weather and nature, and I live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's the most manic weather here possible, like, we can go from sunshine to snow to a hailstorm to 60-mile-per-hour winds here in a day, like, it could be anything. So, just kind of just being, like, really honest with your clients about, like, what a day could look like for them, even if it's a beautiful sunshine day, be like, "Just so you know, like, we are in the mountains, it could storm and rain at any point, I just want you guys to be prepared for that and know what that can mean for your photos," or, "Maybe we won't get a mountain view if you want this big epic mountain view, and we might have a fog day, like, I need you guys to understand that I can't control the weather, and, like, we just need to embrace what we are given by nature today and just have fun with that." And so the biggest thing is, like, the communication side of things, I've had to really learn how to, like, stand up for myself and just communicate, like, the pros and cons of everything and, like, the bad stuff that could happen, but also, like, embracing, like, romanticizing what we get and, like, being excited with the client. And then 2, just, like, embracing what you get, literally. Like, if it's a moody, dark night and you're shooting a blue hour ceremony and they did not bring lanterns and you're just getting dark, grainy photos, lean into that. Like, enjoy that mood because that's what it looked like in real life, and that's what you can do for them. Like, it is what it is, or your clients get married mid-sun, worse lighting, and everything is just, like, looking blown out. Lean into that. Find a way to make that creative and fun because that's what it looked like. You don't need to, like, edit it this crazy wild way to look so vastly different because that's not what it looked like, and then they look back at their photos and like, "Wait, wasn't it really bright? Like, why does it look like this?" You know? So just embracing, like, what you're given and, like, just have fun with that, and I don't know, just I think it comes a lot with practice, but, like, the more and more you practice that and just, like, embracing the nature, like, you're just gonna be able to handle it more and be more confident about whatever you're gonna give your clients.
Yeah, no, I'm like, it truly is a, like, it is what it is situation as a wedding
Yeah,
photographer, but I think, like, I wanna ask you, like, everyone's greatest fear that someone's, like, upset with what they were given because 'cause we've all had that experience where, like,
all of
someone's
that.
upset with the way that the weather went and the way that it affected the photos. How do you handle those situations?
I would just be really honest with me, like, "I totally get it, you guys, but, like, we can always meet up again another day when it's sunshine, but I also can't guarantee that that day will have sunshine either." But
Mhm.
I like to tell them, like, why that weather created beautiful photos. So, like, for example, I did just shoot a rainy elopement a couple days ago, and the couple really wanted sun. And guess what? The next day was sunshine, like perfect, perfect blue
Of course,
skies. And they
always.
had pretty rainy weather. It was very cold. Their where are they from? They're from a hotter state, like Florida or something like that. Like they're definitely from a warmer place. And so they weren't really quite as prepared as I was hoping they'd be, but they embraced it. And I was pretty worried they weren't going to love their photos because, you know, they really wanted the sunshine and everything. They ended up loving them, but the whole day I continued to tell them like if we had sun, the lake wouldn't be this color and you wanted a blue lake, it would be like white. It would be like casting too much like whiteness, like it wouldn't like it would be light. I was like because of this rain weather, we're getting this dark blue epic lake. If you wanted this beach spot on a nice day, we would have 600 other people here. It is the beach to ourselves. Like we have it all to ourselves. Like because no one's here, because of this weather, like it's just ours. Like we can do whatever we want. Like I just kept telling them the positives to any like potential con. And like again, like I just love to romanticize like those things, even if they're not fun for them. I think I would just handle it that way. But I think a lot of times too, I had this a few years ago. No, oh my gosh, more than a few years ago where a couple eloped and they were driving me. They had picked me up from the airport. They eloped the next morning and drove me back to the airport that night. And I'm editing in the car with them because we were like friends at this point. I'd shot a lot for them. So I was editing the car, airdropped to them some photos, and immediately the bride was like, "Oh, I hate how I look," like just ragging on herself right in front of me. And I was like, "Oh my God, like what do I do?" And she kept saying how she hated how white she looked. And so it's like the way, because the way she did her makeup or whatever. And she got married on a snowy lake with snow mountains and it was all white. Like everything was white. So she reflected a lot of like lightness. And it was really hard because I was like hearing her just talk so much shit on herself. And instead of me being like, oh, you're just unhappy with how you looked, I took that as my editing sucks. You hate how I edited them. I need to change them now. And so when I edited the next round to like finish their photos, I made sure that she didn't look as white, like kind of like tanned her up a little bit, gave her a little more light to her, like, you know, a little more skin color to her face.
Mhm.
And she was like, I hate this. Like, why did you do this? I'm like, wait, what? Like,
Oh no.
what? So I had to re-edit their gallery like 3 times. And I finally just got on a call with her and I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand what you're not happy with. Like, you were talking so much shit about yourself in the car. This is why I changed the way the editing is. And she's like, no, I loved them like that. I just didn't like what I looked like. And I was like, okay, okay, like I can get that back. I can go back and find those edits. And I did. And I re-edited the whole gallery the final time, like the first round. But I don't know. I listened to her projecting about herself and I took that and projected on myself and like my own editing. And I think that was like, I just wish that I'd handled that different. And it's made me different sense of like how to handle client, like, I don't know,
Yeah. No,
complaints.
it's
Cause most
like
of the time it's about themselves and not about you.
yeah, it's very like obviously there are times that it is like I don't want to say it's never your fault, but it's like it's very
100%.
rarely like your fault. It's usually something going on with like their self-perception or something that happened on the day. And I think like even your willingness to edit multiple times is like a good testament to the like, you know, help the customer as much as you can within reason because like there's usually a solution.
Mhm. And I think it just comes down to having that honest conversation with them too, and just being like, "What don't you like about them? Like, can we like?" And I would get on a call with them because I think a lot of times when this kind of stuff happens, and I hear about it from other photographers a lot, it's because someone else is kind of like talking to them in their ear a little bit. Like maybe it's a parent or a friend, and they're kind of coming at them, be like, "Oh my God, why did this photographer do this to your photos?" And like, "Oh yeah, why did they do that to my photos?" And they don't even understand what they're saying because maybe someone else is saying it. So sometimes you just have to get on a call and like have a conversation, be like, "Hi, like." I want to know everything you're thinking. Like, tell me, like, blatantly, like, you can be rude, be blunt, just say it. And that way you guys can get to the bottom of like what's actually happening here and maybe not like the surface level issue that's happening.
No, that's a great like piece of advice for like photographers listening is like get on the phone. I like it's always a good idea to get on the phone and just like try to find a solution.
Yeah. Well, sometimes emails can come off like kind of like you read it and you're like, oh my God, the client hates me. They're going to get a lawyer. I'm going to get sued. Like this sucks. And it's like, no, like they might have wrote it really angry, but when they got on the call, they might be a lot nicer. So like
Yeah.
most people aren't as mean, like on a call, they're a lot meaner when they type it out. Like, you know, so just like get on a call, just have a human to human conversation, just be really understanding, give them that client experience. And typically you can get to like a good bottom line solving situation,
Yeah.
hopefully. If
No, I
not, we
love
learn
that.
from it, you know?
So that's one. That's great pieces of advice. I want to take like a little bit of a tangent now to kind of talk about like how your business has evolved because you've
Oh my
introduced
God.
like two different sides of your business, really. I'm like
Mhm.
maybe more than two, but I'm like at least two
Yeah, I have a
sides of
lot
your
of
business.
pillars.
Yeah, over the last couple years. Can we kind of talk about that?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you want to
Yeah,
know?
tell us everything else you're doing, and then we can kind of go through it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think, okay, I'm sorry. Pause. There's a coyote literally running in front of me around the lake.
Oh my God.
For everyone listening, oh, there's two coyotes. Oh my gosh. Wait, this is actually so cool.
Stop.
Sorry. I'm
That's
at a
so
really
cool.
fun
No, I would
Airbnb with
not
a
be
lake
paying attention.
and it's like pouring rain and there's two coyotes and I literally have to take a video of this. I'm so sorry. This is
No,
like
please take a
I've ever
video.
seen.
I'm like, I get distracted when there's pigeons and squirrels on my fire escape, so I would absolutely be taking a video of coyotes.
You know I'm sending you that video after this.
Yeah,
Oh
please
my
do.
God, that's so cool. Anyways, I just like saw movement and I was like, what is that? Oh, just two beautiful coyotes just exploring
Oh
by the
my
pond.
God.
I love that.
I love that.
So my pillars of my business, like kind of where I've all navigated. So I turned away from like the bigger weddings, leaned into smaller weddings. I still photograph high school and college seniors because I just love them and I find them challenging to not photograph a couple and photograph one person. I think it challenges me a lot as a photographer and I love that. I love photographing families since I became a mom. Like I think I liked it before, but now I love it because I just see another side of it and like I lean into like the season of life that I've grown into and notice all the different moments that parents can have with their children, whether mostly I'm a lot better with like the younger ages because that's where I'm at and I understand that age. I don't know the teenage age with the parent like connection yet as well. So I'm excited to like lean into that as my kids grow older and older. Um, and then obviously I have my like photography side of things or my and then I have like my education side of things like where I lean into so much of that. I release presets. I've done two preset packs now, which has been so fun. I've released education about like client experience and B-roll and like kind of slowly released like my own courses, my own PDFs, like PDF guide type stuff. I released a whole line of templates for a while there. Now I'm launching my second round of that
Oh,
for like pricing
amazing.
guides, location guides, Instagram carousel templates, all that good stuff, all the Canva
Hmm.
templates. And then almost 2 years ago now, I dropped my first biggest education, which is called Basecamp. It's my online education subscription course. And it is literally my baby. I'm obsessed with it. I live and breathe Basecamp all day long. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Okay, so oh my God, I have so many questions. One, how did you, because I'm like, you just listed so many things, and I know a lot of people want to get started in like their passive income journey, or they're wanting
Yeah.
to get into education, or they're just like wanting to start a new branch of their business. How did you do that without becoming overwhelmed? Slash, if you did get overwhelmed, what would you do differently?
Oh gosh. I think in the beginning I just took on like one thing at a time. So like I was doing like mentorships and like workshops and stuff and I kind of like leaned away from those, focused on presets for a minute and learned like sales for presets and like that. And then I did a client experience course and then I slowly dropped like a new thing at a time, like that felt manageable on my own. But then as soon as I decided to drop like base camp and go a little bit bigger, like doing coaching, like ongoing coaching for photographers and like a bigger, I was either going to drop like a huge course that was like high ticket, big thing, or I was going to do a subscription course. And that's when I started leaning into like hiring a team to help because I ended up hiring a marketing team and they're wonderful. If anyone needs the name, they're Cheers Creative Co. They are absolutely wonderful. They run all my emails, like my newsletter emails, like my big email stuff, like all that stuff that goes out for base campers and just education. They run my education Instagram account, so like reposting presets, posting about content. They do all my ads, all my Pinterest. Like they do a lot. And I really had to like be okay with outsourcing. When I first hired them, I only hired them for small bits. And then I would like take it away because I'm like, I don't need them to do that anymore. And then I was like, okay, let's make it more affordable. And then as soon as like I would take it back, I'm like, wait, I don't want to do this anymore. I give it back to them. And then I would like be like, wait, can we add on? Wait, you guys also do this? Wait, let's add that on. And so like ever since I like really leaned into like trusting them and like just going in with that with them, I like have given them so much of my business now and I could not do it without them. I swear, like they are my bosses. Like I look to them to be like, what do I do today? What do I do now? Like,
Love that.
yeah.
What advice do you have for like outsourcing and making sure that like you know what to outsource or to who? Like, how did you
Oh,
go
I
about that process?
I think first off, just like identifying what you need to outsource, like sitting down, brain dumping every task that you have to do, and then everything you don't want to do. Like, what does not bring you joy? What stresses you out? What is like a task that you like literally despise? And then kind of like separate those lists and then figure out start reaching out to people who can do those tasks that you don't want to do and decide to like, what does an employee look like to you that would actually benefit your business? For me, I personally need someone who does not need my approval, does not need me to check in with them. I need them to be the most driven human where they do not need me. They can run my business without me because if I have to be like, hey, did you get this done today? I don't have time for that. That's why I'm outsourcing. Like, I want someone to just be like, Dawn, I got this done. I already have the next thing going and I have like 10 more ideas for you. I'm like, that's what I need. Like, I do
Mm.
not want someone who needs me to drive them to do the work for me. I don't know. I want them, and I also want them to be as passionate about my business succeeding. And I feel like I want them to feel like they're a part of that success. And they are a part of that. And so I need someone who's just very, is it self-motivated? Is that the word? Yeah,
Yes, yes.
self-motivated.
How did you, like, release that control? Was that hard or scary to, like, let someone into your business like that?
Yes, and I've been burned a lot. So the fact that I still am willing to do this and like try to give my business pieces to people, I think I've just, well, for me, for example, like I refuse to ever hire someone to do my emails because I've been burned too many times by that. So like for
Mm.
me, I can't have a VA because I've been that's just a no for me now. So I've found that like even though it's a task that I dread, I can't trust someone so far to do that job for me. So I've outsourced to other things like blogging and marketing and parts of social, stuff like that, where I'm like, I like doing those things. I just don't have the time to do it. And I don't think I'm the best at doing it. So someone else is better at it and they should be doing it. But I think just, I don't know, just leaning into like what is possible, what you can afford, just slowly trusting in that. Like, I think just taking your time and like also, like, knowing that whoever you hire, you can reevaluate with them. Like, give
Mhm.
them a trial period, be like, "Hey, we're just gonna work together for 3 months and see how it goes." And not that you necessarily need, like, results. Like, if you're doing a blogging or a Pinterest or a social media collab, like, connection with somebody, you're not gonna get results within 3 months. That's not reasonable. You're gonna need, like, 6 months to a year to see, like, the money coming back kind of in a sense. So, knowing that and being okay with that, but more so, are you okay with the connection that you and this person have made as, like, a partnership? That's what you should be reevaluating. And if that's going well, or if you feel like they're always like late or not finishing tasks the way you want them, either retrain them, have an honest conversation, or move on to the next potential employee. I don't know. Just like, yeah, reevaluating, I feel like is the best way to put it.
No, I think it's also, like, such a good reminder that, like, these things take time. Like, I love
Yeah.
you saying, like, it can take up to 6 months sometimes. Like, I think a lot of people think they're going to outsource and it's going to be an immediate reaction, and that's just, like, not how social media works, not how marketing
No.
works. The immediate trade-off is that you're not doing it anymore. Like, that's the immediate effect.
I think a lot of people forget that, especially when it comes down to like Pinterest, social media, anything. Like with my base campers, I give them a weekly social media like plan and I tell them what to do on their stories every single day, Monday through Sunday. I tell them that they should post or like video and like kind of, I give them inspo. I never say like, what to post about because there's so many like niches and vibes. So it's just kind of like, hey, post, do your keywords, do your hashtags, engage, whatever. And having that and like the students who actually apply it for like a month, like they'll screenshot their insights the day they're like, I'm gonna try, I'm actually gonna follow through with these. And then they let me know like within 2 weeks to a month later, when they're consistent every single day, those are the students who are reaching out to me. They're like, Dawn, I just gained like 700 followers, or I just booked a client, or this. And I'm like, hell yeah, like that's so fucking awesome. And then there's a lot of people who they see when I screenshot those and I post them to my stories or to the base camp, like, hey, like we got another person with a win. Let's celebrate them. People are like, oh, I need to do this. I need to get on. I need to be consistent. I need to follow through. And that's like, we just need to be okay with like seeing, like putting the consistent work in and then waiting for that consistency to like happen after doing the work.
Absolutely. I'm like, "Oh my god, I feel like I could talk about this forever," because I like that's one of the things that I've been preaching a lot to my coaching clients is I'm like, sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it's not. Like, you
Yeah.
just can't guarantee it, but that consistency will pay off with time. It always does. You just have to continually be consistent, even if you're not seeing the immediate result.
Isn't that so hard to feel that as a photographer coach? Because like they look to us for the answers and they're like, well, why isn't this happening? It's like, you're doing the right steps. And as long as you keep taking these steps, we'll get somewhere. But like, we can't guarantee success either. And so it's like,
No.
my husband's always telling me because I'll come home, like I'll end my meetings for the day and I'm like, oh, I just like they're having a hard day. And he's like, you can only, what is the saying? Like you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it. Like
Mhm.
that's such a hard thing for me to like take in as a coach because I'm like, I just want them to succeed so bad. But like sometimes they're not always doing all the work or they lose momentum because they don't see success right away. And it's so hard to be like, no, just keep going. Like, I promise, like, don't stop. It's fun to keep going. It's fun to see that.
Mhm. Oh, no, absolutely, and I think also, like, yeah, making it fun in whatever ways you can makes it so much more motivating so that there are like, there's small wins and there's small results even just in what you're experiencing,
Yeah,
even if you're not seeing the immediate return.
I totally agree.
Well, that is a great segue into my next question, which was obviously you are in a different phase of life than several years ago. You have kids, you're
Thank
married.
you.
Congratulations on all of it. I'm a little late on the congrats, but still. How do you balance like I know whether people have kids or not, I can't even imagine also having kids and running my own business, but like how do people like get overwhelmed? I get overwhelmed. I'm sure you get overwhelmed as well, but how do you balance doing so many things in your business and keeping your personal life? Like what does that look like for you?
It's a very hard battle, I will say. I struggle really hard with it. My boys, especially my 3-year-old is very aware of me and my job. He's very aware of it and he's very vocal about his emotions right now, so it's really hard. But I've noticed it. So, okay, my schedule is typically like, Monday through Friday, very common work schedule. I still work on the weekends if I'm able to. Mostly it's just during the kiddos' naps so that I'm only like 2 or 3 hours, or I'll like work again at night and that way I can hang out with my husband as well. But I take off one day of the week to spend with the kids, like just me and the kids. Sometimes my husband tags along, but sometimes that's his like day off because you guys heard me say before that he's a stay-at-home dad. So typically I'm with the boys either Wednesday or Fridays. I try to schedule it really well on my calendar to where I can go do fun things with them. We typically go like thrifting or like hang out with other friends with kids, and it's so fun. But I will say the days that I'm working, I really struggle because I'm such a three. Like I love working. I love my job. I love everything about like just fully being immersed in work. Like I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with my job, but I'm also obsessed with my children and my husband. Like I love them, but when I'm with them, I'm thinking about work. And when I'm at work, I'm thinking about them. And it's really hard to like separate that, especially when I finish up breakfast with the boys and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to my office now. I love you guys. Like, have a great day with dad. And Revan, like my older son will go like, no, mama, no work, no work today. And I'm like, ah, oh my
Oh
God, like no.
no.
And then Caden, my youngest, he's 15 months. He cries anytime he sees me and I'm not holding him. Like if I'm in the room and I'm not holding him, he is screaming at my feet, screaming to get out of the high chair. Like he is in like a mama obsessed mode right now. And it's annoying though, because the days that I'm with him, he doesn't care. Like that, he doesn't care about me. He wants dad. But the days that I have to work, he wants me. And it's like, hi, dad, dude, I can't do this right now. Like, this is so hard. And so it's just something I've had to like realize that it's just their phases that they're in. And like when my husband has his day off from the boys and I'm with them, Revan will say the same thing, like, oh no, like no dada go, like no dada coaching. I want dada, like I miss dada. And I'm like, you literally spent 5 days with dada and you miss dada. Like, so I'm like, okay, you're just saying this. I don't know if you fully understand like what you're saying, maybe. So it's hard. I try to like really balance it, like try to have breakfast with them, try to have dinner with them every night if I'm not shooting. I come out of my office from time to time if I'm able to, and knowing that I can get back in my office and like spend time with them, like play a couple games, but it's hard. I try to be really present when I'm with them, which is still really hard because, my phone's blown up. So I have to like make sure I put it far away because Revan's got in the mode too of saying like, Mama, phone pocket. I'm like, sorry. Like, okay, you're
Stop.
right.
That's so
Third phone
funny.
pocket. And so he calls us out. It's so bad where I'm like, yeah, shit, you're right, buddy. And I don't know. I always feel worse when he says that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I suck. I'm being on my phone. I should be playing with you guys and like fighting Mario and Bowser and smashing monster trucks. That's the phase we're in right now.
I love that. Well, I think that's like a great testament to just like decide what your boundaries are and like stick to them and like to just remember that like there's always going to be more time in the office and like there's not always going to be more time to do your personal things. And I think that's like a great testament to like put your phone away, do the
Mhm.
things. I love that. Is there any things you like attribute to like your success in separating the two? Like, are there any boundaries or habits you practice?
I don't know about that, but I will say that like so before I had kids, I'm sure you feel this way. You'll have like an 8-hour workday and you feel like you got nothing done. Like you kind of like dilly-dallied all day and you're like, God, I have so much to do and I had 8 hours and like I still have so much to do. When you have kids, for whatever reason, your mind shifts. Like you're like, okay, I only have 4 hours to work today. If you actually like put your phone away or put your headphones in or do whatever thing you need to do to like fully immerse yourself in your work, you are able to get more done in those 4 hours than you did in those 8-hour days when you didn't have, I don't know. I think my mind just shifted. Like now that I have less time to work because I want more time with them, it's like shifted. I've also learned to be way better about saying no to things,
Mm.
which has been really hard. Um, and like when I see my schedule, I'm trying to schedule myself out. So like I book an elopement and I try to schedule the next 2 to 3 days to finish said elopement because my brain works better if I cull, edit sneaks, and then finish it and then deliver it to the client, like, reasonably like within a week or two, whatever.
Mhm.
If I don't do that though, like if I take on like back-to-back elopements, if I'm in a new cool area, that just means I have to spend more and more and more days like in the office, like editing, and that takes away from the boys, or I'm gone longer on a trip. And I realize that that's not always worth it for me, like unless it's like somewhere new that I could take them, but it's not always worth it. So I'm like, okay, is this sound fun right now? Or is it gonna like, am I gonna be crying when I'm on this trip, missing my family so much? And I'm like, typically I'm like, I'm gonna be crying. So I'm not gonna say that. Like, it's not worth it.
No, that's great advice. And I think too, just like the older you get, the more you realize you have to say no. Like I
Yeah.
say no so much more now in my late 20s than I did in my early 20s. Like
Oh yeah.
even though it's not that much of a difference and I'm like I have a lot of life to live, but like it's a big shift. Like you
It
can't
is.
expect yourself to run 24/7 like the way that you do when you're
Yeah.
younger or like when you first start your business. Like there will be a huge shift in energy in the way that you're able to like do things sustainably.
It's really hard. I feel like I struggle a lot with it, especially because I'm really bad with the unexpected. Is like I struggle really bad with that. And like totally honest, I turn into a total bitch when the unexpected happens in my personal life. Not like if something crazy happens at an elopement, I'm good. Like I've got plan A, B, and C. But like for example, if my husband throws out his back, which he does quite often because he's had a lot of back issues, he'll like randomly wake up one morning and be like, I can't move. I can't pick up the kids today. Like I can't do anything. Like I can't work. I can't be with them, Like, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well, we don't have a lot of like family help, like babysitting help. We have a handful, but not a ton to like really cover. And I'm like, cool. So that means I'm not working today. And my mind just goes through all the worst spirals ever. Like, I should be a loving wife and a sweet mom who's like, no, it's great. I get a day with the boys. I'll take care of you. What do you need? No. I turn into a raging bitch. I'm like, no, this is not okay. In my mind, I had all this stuff I had to get done. I have to get this done. I'm not getting it done. I'm a failure to my business. My clients are going to be upset. Like, and not like I'm not good at separating that when the stuff happens like that. So it's like really hard some days where the kids are sick or my husband needs my extra help that day. I'm not so nice. I'm working on that.
No, I think that's like, thank you for being honest though and realistic because I think like so many people feel that way and are like, am I alone in this?
I think so too. And that's why I'm like, I need to say something because I feel like a lot of people get guilty when they feel like that. And like I do too. And I'm working on it. But like it's also okay to be like shocked. Like I feel like it's okay to be like, crap, like I had all these plans and everything's changing and my brain can't handle that because I had plans.
Mhm. No, absolutely. No, I love that because I think it's like, I also think it's like you mentioned before, like having an 8-hour day and you just end up dilly-dallying. Like, I think people need to hear that, like, everyone has those days. Like,
Oh yeah.
absolutely everyone.
Yeah, 100%. There's some days where I like put on a movie to watch while editing. Worst idea, especially if it's a new movie. Cause I'm like, I end up just watching the whole fucking movie and I'm not fucking editing. I'm like, what? Why? Why am I off us? I could have been watching a movie with the boys today. Like, what was this?
Oh
Like,
my gosh, I can only watch like The Office while editing because it's like something I can like mindlessly hear and not pay attention to. It is one of the few things I can do. Because yeah, a new movie, I'm just gonna watch the movie.
yeah, 100%. I'm telling myself I can earn the movie when I finished whatever said task is.
Mhm. Yeah, a
Like, you
little
get to watch a new
prize.
episode of this after you
Yeah.
finish this.
No, absolutely. I love a little prize at the end of finishing a task. I'm like, that's how I think of my shows. Oh my gosh. Well, this has all been like so helpful and so insightful, Dawn. Thank you so much for sharing. As we like close up, I would love to know like if you have one piece of advice for people as they navigate their business, what would that be? And I know it's a very broad question, but we used to do this all the time on the podcast. We used to ask like what the best piece of advice is that you've ever been asked or given. But I would love to know like your business specific advice for anyone.
Mine is so lame, but I think it's a really good answer that nobody talks about. Because I love this question. I think it's so good, and I think my answer is silly. But I think that if you are new and you've started your business and wherever you're at in your journey, I can almost guarantee that you probably don't have a retirement fund set up. Go to your financial advisor, go find one. I'm sure you have an Edward Jones in your town or a grandparent or an uncle or a friend who can help. Go to some sort of financial advising or ask your CPA, your bookkeeper, and start a retirement fund right now because it actually saves you money on taxes. It'll actually support you later. Like it's so good. You can put $20 a month in. If you're like, I don't make enough to do that, yes, you do. You can put $10 a month in. Like that's a tax write-off at the end of the year. It saves you money. It makes you money. Like it saves you in the future. We don't know how long these jobs last for us. And like, obviously we want longevity, but like, you never know what's going to happen. So like having an extra savings account, having a retirement fund, putting money into investments, like is a game changer. And like where I actually don't really know anything about it, I do have a financial advisor who helps. And I can tell you, I've never felt better about what my future could look like for my family because of doing that. And I didn't do it until late in my years. I wish I'd started in 2012 when I became a registered business, but I don't think I started till like 2017, 2018 because I didn't know.
Oh, I just started. I'm like, for anyone
Yeah,
listening, I started this year. So I'm
there you go.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's great advice. That is not silly advice. That is great advice.
It just not, I feel like people are always like, oh, go out and practice shoot, go do like something cute and
No,
fun.
we
Like,
love
this
like
is
the
not fun. This is go save money. Like,
no, we love tangible, nitty-gritty advice. So I'm like, no, that's great. And we also just finished up like an entire month of talking about money. So I'm like, that was
oh,
perfect.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. Perfect.
perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dawn, for coming on. We'll obviously link everything in the show notes, but can you let us know where everyone can find you online?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram. It's just Dawn, DAWN_photo or Dawn Photo Education. You can always say hi. I love responding to DMs. So definitely go on, say hi, tell me that you listen to this. I would love to talk to you. And I don't know, just let me know. I love it. It's so fun.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming on, Dawn.
Thank you. This was so fun. So good to see you again. I love this.
Yes, same. And thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.